This week on ANN, a show of support for religious tolerance and respect in Egypt,
Relief efforts in the wake of major flooding in the Philippines.
and helping needy families prepare their children for a new school year.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, 8 volunteers at Nile Union Academy were evacuated ahead of nearby protest marches last week in Egypt. Local Adventist leaders say the evacuation was strictly precautionary. The marches did not threaten the safety of the academy or the surrounding areas. When protesters passed the Adventist church in Cairo, local Muslims locked hands and surrounded the property to protect it from attack. Church leaders say the gesture demonstrated continued solidarity among Egyptians, despite growing turmoil in the country. Protesters, loyal to former President Mohamed Morsi, are targeting Coptic Christians and other Protestants in Egypt amid a government crackdown. The volunteers are expected to stay in Beirut, Lebanon, on the campus of the church's Middle East University until the situation changes.
Major flooding and landslides in northern Philippines last week left half of the Manila metropolitan area underwater. Close to 300,000 residents of Manila and Luzon fled their homes for evacuation centres. Adventist humanitarians in the Philippines responded by distributing more than 10 tonnes of food to affected families. Each food pack included 12 kilograms or more than 25 pounds of rice and other essential staples. Several recipients said that they were surprised by the generosity. Severe flooding in August is common in the Philippines, but observers say this year's monsoon rains were intensified by a tropical storm, generating some of the region's heaviest rains on record.
The beginning of a new school year brings excitement, but could also pose a financial burden. New textbooks, uniforms, and school supplies all add up, often leaving needy families overwhelmed. The Adventist Church in Jamaica is helping keep the process affordable through a community outreach event. The 5th annual Health, Education, and Skills Expo in Ocho Rios last week offered a sale on textbooks and school supplies and free health checkups for students. Skills training seminars counseled parents on financial management and saving toward education. One parent said she saved thousands of dollars buying textbooks at the event. Hundreds of children received free checkups to ensure a safe and healthy school year.
In a country where Adventists once faced discrimination for Sabbath observance, one church is celebrating 60 years of ministry. The Zhuan Shan Adventist Church in Taiwan began in 1954 with just 15 members. For more than 3 decades, Adventist students and their parents who attended the church were threatened and arrested for not attending classes on Saturdays. Now one of those students is serving as a pastor of the Zhuan Shan Adventist Church. Local Adventists say the church is a major centre of influence in Zhuanshan, a small suburb of the capital, Taipei. 1 out of every 4 people in the community is an Adventist church member.
An Adventist university in Tanzania has received the country's highest academic accreditation. The University of Arusha, previously known as Tanzania Adventist College, started the process of becoming a university 10 years ago. National leaders in Tanzania are urging universities there to focus on postgraduate education in hopes that graduates will return as professors. The country currently faces a shortage of teachers. The University of Arusha offers undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. The school also operates 2 satellite campuses serving the northern part of the country.
And finally in the news this week, an Adventist church member in the United Kingdom will set off on an epic motorbike adventure to raise money for charity next month. Jonathan Blackburn plans to ride from Cornwall to Cape Town, passing through Europe and Africa along the way. He wants to see the world from a new perspective and raise money for 2 charities. One project will bring a clean, sustainable water source to orphan children in Zimbabwe. A well drilled by Adventist Development and Relief Agency will allow an orphanage in Harare to become self-sustaining by gardening and selling produce. Blackburn will also support a project by Riders for Health, a charity that equips health workers in Africa with motorbikes so they can reach even the most remote communities with essential health care.
Coming up, could regular church attendance increase life expectancy? We'll find out after the break.
As I was reading through The Great Hope, this phrase caught my attention. He went singing on his way, his countenance lit up with joy and peace. His gaze was fixed upon Christ, and to him death had lost its terrors. And when I think of this, it just lets me know that no matter what I go through, that there's hope. That Jerome and Huss, they were actually been ready to be burnt to the stake. But he says that he just thought about Christ and how good Christ was, and all fear, everything went out of him, and all he could think about was the joy of Christ. So when I think of the problems that I have, and I feel like giving up, that it lets me know that if God could get him through this, he could surely get me through my problems.
The Lord has given us all gifts. I've always said he's given me a double dose of ambition. And when I wake up in the morning, I am motivated. I'm motivated in my work. I'm motivated to help serve the projects that we're involved in throughout the world. And at the end of the day, I want to sit back and just say, what have I done today and how this has furthered God's work.
Welcome back. Vibrant Life magazine gives Adventists a way to share tips for abundant, healthy living with their friends and neighbours. This month, Heather Quintana explains the connection between faith and health.
When Jesus healed a woman, a leper, and a blind man, he said the same thing to each of them. Your faith has made you well. Can the faith that cured people in the presence of Jesus also be making a difference in our health today? The answer is yes, according to research we discuss in the newest issue of Vibrant Life. The article discusses a growing body of research into the mind's effect on the immune and nervous systems. Here's one way that we found that faith affects health. A group of patients with high blood pressure and a tendency to get boiling mad were taught to deal with their anger through the Christian principle of exercising forgiveness. They found that after practicing forgiveness, even those who had high levels of anger no longer required medication for hypertension. Cool, huh? But that's not all. Another study determined that church attendance increases life expectancy by 2 to 3 years and might be a cost-effective alternative to heart disease pills. Did you catch that? Going to church may have more healing power than some drugs. You can read more on this topic in the current issue of Vibrant Life. Find out how your faith can make you well.
Now let's turn to Larry Evans for an update from Deaf Ministries. He has a report from the ministry conference in France.
And it seems that God is creating a new interest in deaf ministry around the world. I'm beginning to get reports of hearing people who feel a desperate need to reach out to the deaf. There's also a keen desire among many of the deaf themselves to reach other deaf. I'm so pleased that the deaf awareness is beginning to happen. We have a long ways to go, but things are beginning to change. Thank you for spreading the word. Occasionally I will hear someone ask the question, don't all deaf speak the same language? Well, sign language is not a universal language. In fact, there can be even dialects within the same sign language, just like there is in spoken languages. It has been estimated that there are nearly 400 different sign languages. The differences in deaf languages becomes obvious at the recent International Deaf Ministries Conference held in France just a few months ago. 8 different countries were represented by those who attended. In this one conference, there were 6 spoken languages and 6 different sign languages. Can you imagine the challenge? Yet there was a wonderful spirit of unity. This became obvious at the Sabbath worship service held at the Adventist University of France. The sermon was presented in American Sign Language, which was then voiced in English. The English was then translated into French and Spanish, which was then translated into their own sign languages. It reminded me of Pentecost. Each heard in their own language. Could it be that the deaf were showing the rest of us that no barrier is so big that God's love cannot overcome?
Young volunteers from Paraguay are sharing the love of Christ in South Africa. Sid Media sent this report.
The Bible is very clear in the book of Exodus about honoring our parents, and this is exactly what the teams from South America were doing. Their assignment was to take care of the old citizens in Guguletu, and what an honor it was for the old citizens to be given love, especially by foreign children. Despite the language barrier, these young people interacted so well with the old people from Guguletu, and the Vice President, who visited almost all the projects in Cape Town, was humbled by this gesture.
It's a pleasure to be with people like this, the senior citizens, and on behalf of the General Conference, I would like to thank the Paraguayan Union for sending this wonderful group of young people. They are doing an excellent work here in South Africa, Cape Town.
The volunteers and the community were equally thrilled by the visit of these young people.
Well, we are so happy to be here in South Africa. We came from Paraguay to share something of the ministry of Jesus Christ, share the love and serve these all wonderful old people, and we're so happy to be here.
We love the type of message they gave us, especially that there are times when God seems to be silent, and it is then that we must understand that it is not because He has forgotten His plan, it is because He has His own special time, and He's never too early, neither is He ever too late. He's ever on time.
As senior citizens of Guguletu and also of the whole South Africa, I'm very happy to see them. They must come again.
I've got 2 girls from Paraguay, and they are so lovely, and they are very nice, they are very humble, and these children, they always laugh, make me laugh sometimes, though we don't understand each other because they don't talk my language.
A new app for iOS and Android devices connects a global community of Adventists through prayer. We asked John Fieser to highlight some of the app's key features.
Seventh-day Adventists around the globe are praying at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit on our families, leaders, churches, and communities in a worldwide prayer chain called 777. Download the free In Prayer app for iOS or Android to remind you of the prayer times. You'll also get urgent prayer alerts, a wonderful daily devotional, which I personally love, and a personal prayer list where you can keep track of things that you're praying for. We'll also send you some prayer themes relating to some major initiatives and projects of the World Church. And these are some things that really need your prayer support. There's also a video tab that will bring you the latest videos, including inspiring short spots, stories from around the world, and even full-length sermons. You'll get to read some wonderful and inspiring stories of revival and reformation. In Prayer also has a map that will show you the approximate location of everyone else who has the app running on their device. This feature, of course, is optional. All you have to do is visit the App Store on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, Google Play on your Android device, and search for In Prayer. We sincerely hope that you'll join tens of thousands who are already praying at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit. Download In Prayer today to help make 777 a part of your prayer life.
Adventist scientists say nature is perfectly balanced to sustain life. Guide magazine columnist Rich Aguilera explains the power behind that balance on this month's Nature feature.
Hi, I'm Rich Aguilera, and I'm in a temperate rainforest right now. It is a forest that is very cool and wet, and because of that, a lot of stuff grows here. Look at this tree. It's huge! There's tons of trees in the rainforest. This one is covered by plants called mosses. Mosses grow where it's very wet and moist, and they grow right on top of everything. See? Even on the ground, on fallen logs, and even on the trees. And we also see a lot of another type of plant, ferns. Unlike most plants, ferns don't make fruits, flowers, or seeds. They make spores. That's how they make more plants. The bottom side of the frond is where the spores are released. The spores float through the air and land somewhere moist and start growing. Now that's an interesting way to get around. And since this is a very wet place, we also see a lot of fungi, mushrooms. It's truly amazing how many things live in a rainforest, and it's all perfectly balanced to live together. Want to know God better? Study his artwork. Nature. See ya.
Still ahead, the origin of choice.
But up next, a new science curriculum rollout sends teachers back to school.
Well, I do pray for just like my family and friends and neighbors. I pray that I will keep on going through my hard weeks of school. I pray for my little brother. Please pray 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening, 7 days a week.
I can't remember a time in my life when I wasn't dating a guy or interested in one. And this is where I got my security from as a woman. This is what filled the void in my life. I prayed about it and I said, God, I need your help. My happiness goes up and down with the ups and downs in my relationship. It's dependent upon how well my relationship is doing. And I don't want to live this way anymore.
All around the world, Seventh-day Adventists are reading a chapter of the Bible per day. We call it Revived by His Word. With the new free iPhone and iPad apps, you can join in and read the daily chapter on your device. Highlight verses and share them with your friends via email and Twitter, and follow the daily feeds. And you can do this in English, Spanish, or Portuguese. Get your free Revived by His Word app now.
Welcome back. A new series of science textbooks by the Adventist Church introduces complex issues to elementary students in a context that builds faith. Tim Standish explains how the Geoscience Research Institute is prepping teachers for the new curriculum.
Have you seen these fantastic new by design science textbooks? With books like these, you know science is going to be the most enjoyable subject in Adventist schools. I'm excited by all the classroom activities designed to help students understand the information they're mastering. Why didn't they have textbooks like these when I was in school? Probably the most valuable thing about these by design textbooks is the intentional connection they draw between science and the rest of reality, particularly our study of the creation. These books empower teachers to present science in all its faith-affirming beauty. Creating textbooks as good as by design takes a massive investment of time, money, and effort. And as by design textbooks are passed from the team who created them to the team of teachers who will use them, the transition will also take effort. New science standards require that complex scientific concepts be taught in surprisingly early grades. Many teachers will find themselves explaining unfamiliar subject matter. The Geoscience Research Institute is teaming up with the North American Division to help with this. During July 13 through 24 of 2014, a GRI Field School for Teachers will be held in Denver, Colorado. This field school will be the best opportunity for teachers to upgrade their understanding of the science they're to teach and to learn how the by design textbooks can build faith while helping students understand science. If you're a teacher, if you know a teacher, if you are a supporter of Adventist Christian education, you can help by spreading the word about the 2014 GRI Field School for Teachers. Remember the dates, July 13 through 24 in Denver, Colorado. More information can be found by clicking the Field School link in the upper left corner of the GRI homepage at grisda.org. Adventist Grade 1 through 8 teachers, this conference is for you, and I can't wait to meet you in Denver next year. Thanks for all you do to make Adventist students the best educated young scientists in the world.
Cloud storage allows users to back up data and make it easier to share. Jesse Johnson reviews the best options on this week's Tech Corner.
Cloud storage solutions can back up your important files somewhere off your computer where they can be available on another device or shared with others. There are quite a few vendors that offer these services. Let's take a look at a few. Apple's iCloud service is free up to 5 gigabytes for your Mac or iOS device. This is optimized for these devices and serves as a way to back up their apps and the data. Bitcasa offers 10 gigabytes of storage for free and has a $99 a year plan that offers unlimited storage. This one seems to provide the most space for a competitive price. They make software for your Windows or Mac computer, and they also have clients for iOS, Android, and Windows Phone. Dropbox made file syncing commonplace. By storing your files in a specific folder, they can automatically synchronize with the Dropbox server and back down to another device you've set up, keeping them all in sync. Dropbox offers 2 gigabytes for free and more for a charge. Google Drive's real strength is collaboration. This product evolved out of Google Docs with its real-time collaboration and now offers an app for local file syncing. 5 gigabytes for free and more for a charge. The last one we're going to look at is Microsoft SkyDrive. SkyDrive offers online storage and folder syncing for Windows 7 and 8, Mac, iOS, and Android. SkyDrive offers 7 gigabytes for free. So give one or more of these services a try and see how useful cloud storage can be.
What's the best age to get married? There's no magic number, but as Willie and Elaine Oliver say on this month's feature from Family Ministries, there are some benchmarks you should meet before taking the step.
One of the questions we often get from people is, should you be out of school before you get married? What do you think about that?
Well, school, I guess people are talking about college, an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree. Well, it all depends on how old you are. I would say if you're a traditional student who started college at age 18 and you're getting out at 22, you probably shouldn't get married before age 22. In fact, the closer you are to 25, research tells us, the better you will do. But it's a lot more than that. You know, there are many other variables that come to play. What we do know is that everything that could put pressure on your relationship, you should be careful about. So many times people go to graduate school and they get married. And well, it all depends on how quickly you want to get married. Never get married quicker than you have to. But I would say be at least 25 and be able to manage your circumstance.
Yeah, and I think it's also helpful if people have a good understanding of who they are, what they want out of life, and to make sure that whoever it is that they are dating or thinking about marrying, that they share similar goals. You know, so the issue is not just are you out of school? Being out of school, I think, is important because that's an added pressure, as you mentioned. So just be sure that you share similar goals with the person that you're with and that you're headed in the same direction.
And more than anything else, spiritual values.
Absolutely.
Adventist World Church President Ted Wilson is inviting viewers to accept God's many gifts. This week's gift is freedom of choice.
When God made humanity, He did not create robots. Each one of us has our own unique personalities. When He knit us together in our mother's womb, He did not make a single one of us exactly alike. This is especially amazing when we consider the billions of people born on this earth. But there is something that God has given to us all, the gift of a free will. We can choose to accept God as our Creator and Redeemer, or we can turn our backs and walk away. He knows that true love can never be forced. So although it carries the risk of rejection, God gave us all the gift of freedom of choice. I hope you will claim that gift today by choosing to follow the Creator of freedom.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, a look at the life of an early Adventist publisher.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On August 25, 1966, Atuwifi Adventist Hospital opened on the island of Malaita in the Solomon Islands. Nearly half a century later, it treats around 14,000 patients a year. On August 29, in 1854, the Adventist steam press in Battle Creek published Man Not Immortal by D.P. Hall. A reprint of several articles from the Review and Herald magazine, it was the first book on the non-immortality of the soul to be published by the small group of believers who would later become Seventh-day Adventists. On August 30, 1832, George W. Amadon was born. Amadon was an important Adventist pioneer, often forgotten today. He was a key member of the team, initially working with James White in the 1850s, which later became the Review and Herald Publishing Association. Amadon married the daughter of the first General Conference president, John Byington, and he worked in Adventist publishing his whole life, often literally manning the printing presses. But he wrote and edited as well. Amadon was also an important figure in the early denomination. He was a member of the first three-man General Conference Executive Committee, and he served as secretary of the Michigan Conference. After he retired from the press, he became minister of the Battle Creek Church and proved a good pastor as well as publisher. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from the New Testament book of James. The passage says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, wherever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.